Hey, welcome to this video tutorial. This one is about how to avoid juxtaposition. So juxtaposition. You might have got a piece of mark work back with the term juxtaposition in the margin or juxt, and do you know exactly what that means? You might have, when you were writing it, tried to evaluate or criticise. Your teacher will have drilled into you, don't just write about the view in the question, but be critical, give opposing views. And that's what you have tried to do. And then you've got this comment, juxtaposition. And you'll get the impression that this isn't a good comment. But unless you've been taught how to avoid it, how are you going to be sure that you are not going to fall into the same trap again on your next assignment? So put simply, what exactly is it? It's two side-by-side ideas in contrast to one another. So let's have a look at this 20-mark question. It's a typical 20-marker. It could be on an AS paper 2 or an A-level paper 2. Both are worth 20 marks. Both come with an item. They're wrote in exactly the same way. Written in exactly the same way. And the question looks like this. Apply material from the item, your knowledge. Evaluate the Marxist view that the main role of the family is to serve the interests of capitalism. You think, all right, it's Marxist. I know these functions. So you look at the item like your teacher has coached you to do, and you can pick out some functions of the family according to Marxist, and then it says alternatively functionalists argue. So you make sure that you bang in a paragraph about the functionalist functions. You get your feedback, good AO1, largely relevant some parts at a juxtaposition. And that just means that your maximum grade that you're going to be getting is about a 12 out of 20. And this video tutorial, we want to make sure that we avoid it. Okay, so this is what a student who does do a juxtaposition, what it looks like. So we're going to have a look at the student answer by Emma. Okay, so she starts off by talking about the item. One function of the family is to socialise children into accepting hierarchy. She quotes it from the item, attaches some knowledge, the ideological function, maintaining capitalism, loads of keywords in there, proletariat, persuading them that it's natural, it's called ideology, it's a brainwashing function. They apply it with an example, teaching children that hierarchy is inevitable, parental power leads to believe that there's always someone in charge, and this is then applied to the question. They are being prepared for working life where they're following orders from their capitalist employers. So where does it all go wrong? It's in this next paragraph. Emma then puts in the however. However, functionalists would disagree. The item suggests that the family performs vital functions for society. She's got it from the item. What could go wrong? Okay, so this is what we mean by juxtaposition. You've got two contrasting views side by side. You have got your Marxist in the first part of the paragraph, all relevant, all applied to the question, and then you have got the functionalist view, which has come from the item. You've developed a little bit on about it, but it bears no relation to one another. You've not been critical, you haven't criticised any points, so there's no real evaluation or AO3 marks that are available here. So how do we combat it? So let's have a look at that two paragraphs side by side. And looking at the two paragraphs, basically there is just a listing of knowledge. You can't deny that there is not good AO1 there. Okay, loads of keywords, Marxist keywords, but also you've got Murdoch and some keywords and key functions according to the functionalist viewpoint. But what is missing is the AO3, the analysis. How do they relate to one another to help answer the question? So what I would suggest that you do is look for a common theme. What do both views comment on but have differing views on? The socialisation function. So as you can see, the fictional student Emma has commented on the socialisation in both the Marxist and the functionalist paragraphs, and this is going to be the common theme that's going to tie them both together, which is going to turn your answer from having juxtaposition, just opposing views, where they become a little bit more analytical. So when we rewrite the paragraph, it moves from being descriptive to being more analytical. So the green Marxist part, we're going to keep that the same because that was fine. Okay, we've identified one function according to Marxist, that's cool. But when we start to have a look at the second part, this one has changed. because we're following on the theme that the Marxist paragraph has started to talk about, mainly the socialization function. Okay, so what we've done is we've rewrote it to allow it to flow. So functionalists would argue that Marxists fail to acknowledge the real benefit of the family to all its members, not just capitalism. Whereas Marxists see the main role is to socialise its members into accepting hierarchy in an ideological way, a brainwashing way, functionalists take a more positive view of the socialisation function. They see the family as important in socialising children into the norms and values of society, and here's the link back to the question, not capitalism as Marxists would suggest. So now we can see that instead of having juxtaposition of two opposing views which bear no relation to one another, we have got a common theme which is linking those both parts together. And it's not just this one paragraph that you could do this with. So in this same topic, there is a number of themes that run through it, which all different sociologists actually at some point do refer to, or should I say the different perspectives. So for example, socialisation, like what we just talked about, accepting hierarchy, norms and values, but you could even talk about socialised into gender roles according to feminists. Economic needs, having a roof over one head, being able to move, nuclear to where the jobs are, so Parsons' geographical mobility, or meeting the capitalist needs by maintaining a workforce, or encouraging its members to buy product to help them produce the profits for capitalism, or just being a general consumer, just to have a nice lifestyle. Okay, reproduction of the next generation, or is it of the labour force according to capitalist, or reproduction of patriarchy? You've got the safety valve or the stabilisation of adult personalities. Is it the warm bath theory? Or is it a safe haven from capitalism? Or is it that women that soak up the frustrations of capitalism, which actually brings in the Marxist viewpoints? And both functionalist family, with the expressive and instrumental roles, the inheritance of property being passed down to the eldest son, can both be accused of being patriarchal. And both functionalist and Marxist both focus on the nuclear family, whereas within a postmodern society there's a diversity of family types questioning the effectiveness of the functions of the family, and in the case of the question that we've gone through, meeting the needs of capitalism. So what can you do then moving forward? So in my opinion, I would recommend avoid just learning or revisiting or revising studies or viewpoints in isolation. Review topics as a whole. Look at them as a whole, identify the key themes and apply the different sociological viewpoints to it. Avoid using the however and thinking that you're criticising when instead you're just giving an opposing view. Instead, review the viewpoint and actually learn a specific critical point at the same time and seeing part of the same explanation. So you naturally then evaluate as you go along, rather than holding all the evaluation points right at the end, which then stops the flow of the answers. Okay, so in this video tutorial I have just talked about what is meant by juxtaposition. I've tried to briefly apply it to one example just so you could see an example of a paragraph, and then rewrote the paragraph to avoid that juxtaposition. Okay, so hopefully that you found this useful. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure that you pop any comments or any question requests, pop it down in the comment section below, and also just please subscribe and recommend these tutorials to anybody that studies sociology, and hopefully I will help you guys out. Okay, so thank you for listening, have a great day, and I shall speak to you soon.